Tempo Storm and Teammate are tied 1-1 in this best-of-5 elimination series, the last series of the night here at the HGC Western Clash. Tempo Storm bringing it back. It was a still tough battle, though. It has been between both these teams.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before we walked away. I'm excited that we saw something new from Tempo Storm. Now, since they have their confidence back, a little more momentum, bring out the normal stuff in game number 3, start to access Teammate. Also, make sure to go to battlegrounds that you're great at. I wouldn't mind them setting themselves up to be able to play at a battleground that they would like. The ones that are great for Team 8 has already been played. We saw it on Battlefield Eternity. We had Infernal Shrines banned out as well, which Tempo Storm's not very great at. So for the most part, the map pool is very open for them.
I think it's really interesting when we're talking a lot of the entire day throughout Europe versus North America, and it's so interesting to me that NA has a huge tendency to go for the map pick over the first pick, whereas Europe does most of the time the exact opposite.
Well, I think here actually Team 8 decided to go ahead and elect for first pick.
Yeah, we started in HGC North America with teams who were willing to go for Battleground pick, but things started to evolve the other way to the point that pretty much, I think all of the teams really, unless they had some sort of strategy that they wanted to make sure that they could run or at least go somewhere. Like in this case, it made sense. Tempo Storm wanted to be able to beat Teammate in the macro game. They knew that they had that win over them in that regard. But I want to ask you guys about the Chromie, NA Chromie versus EU Chromie. What are some of the differences that you saw? Grubby?
Well, no Dragon's Eye was quite a notable omission, Gilly. As a European, I found its absence most concerning.
Yeah, there are some positives to it. You get decent wave clear and you have the cooldown reduction. Now remember, you get the damage reductions, but you get decent wave clear on backline. You're able to also have another W available for the next trap that does come your way. And it does synergize a Doral Anomaly if you keep having someone trapped. But why not just kill somebody the first time with Dragon's Eye?
It's a great job playing devil's advocate.
I
saw a lot of heroes getting away with 10% life after Dragon's Eye was not used.
To be quite frank, most of us in Europe would just simply look at the draft, say, I take the Jaina and take the free win. Thank you very much.
It's a work in progress, but it's good to see something new being brought out from Tempo 8.
And they won, man.
Yeah, they won. Yeah. They walked away with it. I think if you want to run a stronger Chromie, there are definitely options. But nonetheless, here we are into this draft. We are going to Sky Temple. We have our ban set up. Team 8 will actually ban out Ragnaros. Tempo Storm will take Tassadar for themselves. And Team 8, switching it up, Dehaka is on the board.
I like it a lot, actually. Dehaka on this map is absolutely fantastic. You get a huge value if you play it right. And at the same time, Ragnaros is incredibly annoying to play against. And in this case, Tempo Storm, we've been talking about their false start play a little bit earlier, and this time they finally pick it up here. But it still leaves, of course, heroes like the Zeratul open, which is always an option, at least for teammates. So at least in this particular setup, Glorong still has a lot of opportunities to just branch out with the hero pool.
Tempo Storm getting their most played heroes throughout the HG season with that Falstad and that Malfurion, their number 1 and their number 2, Malfurion being number 1. So now, yes, Team 8 has Zeratul floating around, as you mentioned, but if we get Zeratul for Glorong, who plays a Dehaka? Does it become Justing?
I don't know, but I'm usually not a huge fan of Zeratul with double warrior compositions. He sets up the fight well, but he lacks the ranged burst damage. Generally, you want to run Zeratul with 2 damage. Extra on top of him, and with Dehaka, he's not a main tank. So I'm wondering if we're moving into a more traditionalist approach, which is neither focused on Abathur nor Zeratul for Team 8.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Team 8 pick it. Tychus is a high priority that gives Prismaticism his hero. They got ETC for Justing, and then they can always ban Zeratul if they want to versus Tempo Storm.
Yep.
The double warrior with the Tychus. You take Tychus away to damage your 2 warriors. It is definitely a more of a Gale Force esports fanatic feel here. It's a vastly different map, of course, in Sky Temple. We've got 2 heroes with potential global in Dehaka and ETC.
Does it a bit surprise you when we're talking about Tychus that so far NA seems to have a huge tendency to go into the bigger they are, even if they have, including the healer, 4 melees against you, where in the European scene you mostly see in the rhythm then and trying to go for the extra stacks and heals?
Yeah, I mean, the idea with bigger they are, right? You take away 1 warrior to 40%. You either kill him or you force him back, which opens up the backline, allows you to go into the overkill build and focus the backline squishies. But if you do that on a single warrior, the second one is a problem. So you get into rhythm to extended 3-second minigun duration and start firing off at the second warrior and force them to rotate away as well. Because against many warriors, you need to open up the battle.
And also when you go into the rhythm against this many frontliners, you usually end up having 5 to 10 seconds extra trade time later on. So this is actually one of the differences between the two regions. I feel that at least on that particular hero, had me a bit confused for quite some time. But it still seems to be, to me at least, a thing that the bigger they are is way more popular in North America.
Well, Rhaegar taken out, and we saw that last ban. The reason why we have Rhaegar being banned out, again, so strong with the double warrior frontline. If you're teammate, I'm wondering about the Zeratul ban for ourselves. Tempo Storm has their Malfurion set up down here already, so they have that root automatically popped out. But they choose to pick out Zarya. Does Tempo Storm move into it, or do you think they hold on for a little bit, go more global based, and just have better rotations?
Yeah, I think dealing with Zeratul is kind of okay here. I could be crazy because both teams have such a good Zeratul player. But with the Zarya ban, I'm feeling a sense that Team 8 wants to be a very map control heavy style where you split up the map with your globals and you just apply a lot of pressure, you avoid a lot of direct combat. Now, what is good against that? A team that deliberately puts himself in different lanes and just kind of stays there and soaks. Very heavy 3 to 4 lane pressure. You remove Zarya and you remove the strength of like a strong, powerful 3-man battering ram in the bottom lane that forces you to use your globals, respond, and give up that advantage that globals normally offer. I feel like in this way, we can kind of start to see the strategy for Team 8 taking shape.
So you spread out, control the battleground, maybe set yourself up for objectives. They grab Greymane and Johanna. I was leaning a little bit more towards Tyrael, but Tyrael is kind of some of the least played for Tempo Storm. They grab their Johanna here on Sky Temple. And they have pretty strong setup. Greymane, maybe not as supported with this dive here. Malfurion's probably one of the hardest ones to keep him alive, but still, if he does get a root, Greymane can dive into the back line, take out some members. So now we have Tychus and Karazim for Team 8 with Li Ming.
Look at this. These heroes fit in perfectly with the prior strategy. You have heroes who have a dash, the teleportation for Li Ming and the Karazim dash. Anytime you want to buy time and allow Dahaka or ETC to split soak, if you get in a fight, at least you can teleport away. So you need heroes like this. You would not take a Jaina with a composition like this because they would not be able to save themselves. Same thing for like a Rhaegar. So I feel like Team 8 is playing a very distant style.
I also have to say that I like the Karazim in this particular setup now a lot more than I liked it on the last map, just simply because that lack of a cleanse until level 16 is much less an issue here than it was before. So in this case, I can really play around it a bit better. The Zeratul pickup for Tempo Storm, I mean, in this particular case, you can also combo it with the Gust on the fall stat. So if you get like an isolated one, you just blast them away and you burst the target off, turn it into a 4 versus 5 and take the objective on the back of that. That could really help them here.
Yeah, that's what we have here for Tempo Storm. They have the great heroic potential synergy and a great team fight, and they've got a great hero in Zeratul. On the other hand, we have the XP battle, the structural battle, which Team 8 is fronting.
You also have the pressure that Falstad and Zeratul can put on someone like a Dahaka. Dahaka, again, being in the top lane, is usually going to be against that Falstad, but suddenly Zeratul can rotate up there. You get a couple of pickoffs, and with Larong most likely playing the Dahaka, if you could take the shot caller of the team, throw him off his game a little bit, that could be beneficial for Tempo Storm.
Lots of comforts on either side as well. We've got Falstad 10-1 going into today for Tempo Storm, as well as Zeratul 9-1. I believe still going into today. So yeah, these big comfort heroes. But on the other side, Dahaka for Glaurung has yet to be defeated. So we'll see how those comforts work out for either side. Global's always coming into play. We're ready for game number 3. Jake and Jay, what do you think of these drafts?
I like this drafts quite a bit, Gillyweed. I mean, we see a lot of comfort picks like the Zeratul, the Falstad here on the side of Tempo Storm, who is in our blue side. On the Zeratul, that is going to be Psalm. We've got Coffin on the Falstad. We've got Caterpillar on the Greymane. Pumped for that. Fury going to be on the Johanna, one of his favorites, and then June on the Malfurion.
Oh, but Jake on the other side, Team 8, this is the draft that I like the most. That early Dahaka pickup fits right into what they like to do because that is going to be Glaurung who's going to be on that hero. But we saw him play a mean Karazim last game. Justine back on the warrior role this time, and Yoda probably, do I dare say, the new #1 Li Ming in NA?
It's entirely possible. Crowan definitely has some competition. But, you know, one thing, Jay, that you were talking about, in some of the drafts earlier in this weekend was Glaurung on the Dahaka. This is the first time we've seen it in the actual competition this weekend, but a very ambitious approach to that mid lane. But they do manage to force the Brush Stalker out of Glaurung.
Both teams just go straight to the mid and start firing and see what happens. But Dahaka did go to the top. And we'll probably see, they're going to split Greymane out to solo that top lane against Dahaka. Now, Jake, oftentimes you leave your global in the bottom lane so that during the first temple phase, which is the top and middle, you can use that down there. If needed, you rotate it up, else you don't miss any soak. Glaurung going to be in the top lane, however.
Psalm will have to retreat here, just blinking away. Fury there for the save if needed, but not an issue here. Good push in, Cattle getting just out of the way of Glaurung's drag attempt, and with the 2v1 in the top, they're getting some damage done, but Johanna gets blown up in the mid from the fort rotation.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising. They didn't have the same type of rotation. We saw a two-man split up top with the support in that top lane. Now we see the fight over Vision as teammate going to rotate up. We'll see if Dahaka makes his way down. He does make his way down to the bottom lane. So strategically, teammate has in mind what they want to do early game.
As this game progresses, I mean, we will see the Gildan Cocktail build, the full Gildan Cocktail build out of Greymane. However, it's hard to say whether or not we will see the Curse Bullet. Like, versus ETC, I love Curse Bullet, but versus Dahaka, he can just flat juke it. That is an expensive thing to do for him, using that E to burrow underground, but still an option here for the Greymane. Pumped to see how we're going to have Cattle playing the hero, since I don't know that I've seen him play the Greymane in a little while.
It's kind of like this new meta, right? Everybody's been really big on Curse Bullet. Despite that, if you opt to go something else, then that is available to you. We'll see exactly how that works. Divine Palm was the pickup last game, seems to be the likely option this game, as Johanna can generally walk away from those. Being the only frontline in a traditional sense isn't too much of a threat there. So probably a Cursed Bullet as opposed to go for the throw, or maybe vice versa.
Well, we have both of the shrines under control from teammate, getting far more value. The top keep might go down to those last few shots. Not we had just a little bit shy of that. And we do see the middle one going well over to the side towards the end for teammate as well. Super valuable for them.
Yeah, both teams taking another passive approach here early game. And this is something that we've seen a lot more in NA, is focusing the top camp first and then rotating down and getting the siege camp second. So we'll see exactly their approach. If they opt to push that, it's a possibility. Else they might just instantly rotate down and try and press their advantage in the bottom lane.
Only the 1 kill in total, but just looking at the talents, man, we talk about Yoda. We were saying he may as well be the #1 Leeming at this point in time. And he's going the full Magic Missile build so far. We're going to keep a close eye to see how he builds it out for the rest of the game.
It really seems like that Charge Blast at level 4 with that Magic Missile build seems to be a response towards a lot of those dive-heavy heroes. And speaking of dive-heavy, Psalm being caught is able to blink away and stay alive, though. But that's one of the things that those dive-heavy heroes, if you can turn on them, you get that quick blow-up potential. We'll see if that plays out as the game goes on.
A lot of damage down here at the bottom as well, escorting the giant camp, get through a full tower and the wall, setting themselves up nicely for this next temple phase. False has been pressuring Dahaka in the top lane also, just to try to keep him at bay away from that fort, which is just a tickle away from exploding.
Well, we're seeing the strategy of Tempo Storm play out right now, because the temples will be spawning soon. The Siege Giants, they rotated to the bottom. They're going to put the pressure down here, forcing teammate to respond. And now teammate can't necessarily go to the top right. It's going to be a solo Dahaka capturing that camp. He should be able to grab that. You're going to miss a little bit of experience, but Tempo Storm strategy working in their favor.
Okay, Dahaka and Tychus on the night camp to try to time that for the bottom shrine, which is just about to spawn with that slight advantage for them. Buds is super low, not quite able to get the cocktail.
That extra dash there was able to keep him alive. Also, I think one more auto attack might have sealed the deal. But Temple phase active now at camp. Will be pushing in the top. Dahaka, we'll see how much he can get. That fort does not have much left in the top lane.
They've already, acknowledged it's definitely going to go down. So Falstad just makes his way to the mid lane and starts soaking there because it's a bit more safe. And for the snap fly down, Brushstalker has gone down to the mid lane as well, putting a bit of pressure onto the Falstad. But we do see the bottom shrine is going well over to Johanna there. Fury holding the spot.
Yeah, if teammate can hold on to this. Nice roots, though, as Justine tries to power slide out. He's having a hard time disengaging, but Psalm goes in a little bit too deep. He's going to be the first to fall, and now we see Fury in a lot of trouble, but Cawthon has joined the fight as well.
Yeah, gonna have to barrel roll away. Beautiful kill there on Psalm. Will get the last half of the shots for sure here with level 10 so close. And we already talked about this being open. This very well could be another fort going down here. Top fort was confirmed by that mercenary camp and the wave.
Yeah, and it's going to force a response because with so little up there in defense of that camp, that could actually lead into a keep wall and potentially keep damage if not responded to. If you take that fight at the bottom, good. You can still fall back. Losing Zeratul forces your hand. If that becomes a stall out, it still is a win in teammates' favor, but it was a win in teammates' favor all the way around because level 10 should be here momentarily. That fort, just a sliver of health.
Literally never lucky. Like that's the second time I've had that happen from temple phase to temple phase. They'll be able to poke that down momentarily, making their way on fort to do that, and boop, there goes the fort.
No lag if this time, Jake.
No lag if this time.
All right, level 10, we see all the heroics are not picked up, actually, because it is. Will you see Mosh Pit? That is going to be the big question. Going up, we've seen Fury deal with it so much when he plays Johanna. He knows exactly how to do it. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. He knows exactly how to defend against that. He's a very veteran player. Could be a choice. Waiting, though. It's going to be sneak attack. No, it is going to be Mosh Pit.
It is going to be the Mosh Pit. Dahaka, however, is still holding on to his. We have 7-sided strike, and the Dahaka does end up locking in adaptation for the big sustains. Cattle going to have to run away from this. Fury looking to get the lockdown. It gets knocked away from Li Ming, but the kill from Coffin picked up. VP nullifying any kind of effectiveness from the same team there. But we do see Prismat, super low. Fury stepping on in. Psalm confirms the kill.
A power slide over, though. Let's see if they can confirm the kills. Fury, the tongue lands, but Buds is going to fall. 3-for-1 trade right now. They might not be done yet. Justin Glaurung doing everything he can, trying to put some threat on the backside. Psalm forced to walk away, but a winning trade for Tempo Storm. The roots go down. Glaurung taking a bit more pressure. Cursed bullet hit.
30-second cooldown. Just going to throw it out there. Why not? Well worth the mana spent to put some damage on. This puts Tempo Storm in a situation where they can reclaim some map control. They are well behind when it comes to the structural damage, and at the end of the day, especially here on Sky Temple, that is by far the most important element. Like, even if you win a team fight, you need to find a way to take down some of those towers and get the shrine control. But they even get their camp stolen.
Here is an interesting moment because you have Falstad and Dahaka, but it is a top and bottom of the map temple phase. The boss, when it comes to competitive, always becomes a threat in this situation. Right now, we see the priority top. Giving up a boss this early, it's only 8 minutes in. If that were to be captured, it's not a big threat. You actually don't get much out of it. But if this is a situation later, it becomes a far more strategic play that can
Less
happen.
shield use here to try to get this kill onto Glaurung. It will be a 2v1, but he's at the keep. Oh, the burrow. This should be a kill.
Yep, not able to heal up there as we see Coffin take a few shots on the way out, but no big deal. Top Temple is being channeled. That should put some pressure on. I believe remnants of a camp also pushing the bottom lane on the side of Tempo Storm. So getting some good value. Yes,
yeah.
The kill was unfortunate, but still not too shabby.
Yeah, all in all, this is still perfectly fine, if not plenty good, on the side of Team 8. They have so much damage onto the top keep wall. The bottom is just taking out some of these front forward structures. Bottom fort goes down. Now it's working on that last tower. It'll fire its last few shots towards the the middle fort, but they are way behind when it comes to structural count, and those minions now invading the top lane of Tempo.
Dahaka used his brush stalker in the bottom. We see the Iron Skin used by Johanna. The Condemned going to pull him in. Mighty Gust for the disengage. They might actually be able to drop back. Team 8 can get the last of these shots. I mean, every little bit counts on this map.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we already saw the Giants do a ton of damage to bottom. I mean, I'd say Team 8 is way ahead. Sure, the experience might be dead even, but Team 8 has been dictating the pace of every single shrine, it feels like.
Yeah, they actually have 2 forts still standing. The one in the middle, not much left, so that will be finished off pretty easily going forward. But structures, nonetheless, are your lifeline in this game because of those temples. So Team 8 with a little bit of a lead, but experience dead even almost.
The one other way you could look at it is Tempo Storm still has a lot of free experience to get scoop up by removing those last few forts in the event they take a team fight. Those forts are going to be very accessible, walk on in, collect the experience, and maybe throw themselves 1, maybe 2 levels ahead in those kind of moments. But they got to win the team fight first.
Boy, following up on what we talked about earlier with Charge Blast, level 13 Cannoneer for Li Ming. So they are looking to follow up on any type of misplay by Zeratul, and we will see if Li Ming can get that instant blow up. Charge Blast and Cannoneer. This was actually one of the builds that Tempo Storm themselves was one of the first people to use in the NA scene just a few months back, and I have never seen health bars get deleted so fast with this build. We'll see if he can land it properly.
I'm such a fanboy of Yoda. Like, this event has sold me so hard in this guy. I love it. Gilman Cocktail, mostly for scouting, not going to connect. The rotation around the boss pit. No one has attempted the boss And I'm all for that. The throw pit is real.
Well, Dahaka is posturing up at the top. They have that camp that can kind of push, but it is being defensed by Falstad. This should be sniffed out as we see Psalm coming in on the backside. They've got to try and keep an eye out for him. VP is available, so there's a lot that could happen here.
They know he's there. They know he's there. He's on the retreat. Bud's looking to put the pressure on here. VP is forced out. Falstad still in the top lane, flying on in, but is he there in time? Condemned forward. Roots in a great spot. They will get the Tranquility, or the Twilight Dream, to get the kill on Karazine.
Well, that was unfortunate as they re-attempted the boss, but Buds got caught out, posturing up a little bit too far. Boss did get leashed, and no play being made by Tempo Storm as the next Temple phase is active, and that camp in the top lane still has a little bit left. You can see these small little tidbits. While they're losing a few in terms of kills, they're gaining a little bit in other areas.
They are, but that was such a risky play. They didn't have a talent advantage. Everyone was up. Sure, they had pressure in the top lane. And I had literally just said, I'm glad no one's gone for the throw pit. And they decided to go for the throw pit. So I guess Caster's Curse, only losing one member, not the end of the world. And we do still have VP and Twilight Dream on cooldown. So when you look at the lay of the land right now, this is in favor in this moment for Team 8.
All right, both the global heroes in the bottom. We'll see who opts to come up first. Level 16, trying to be soaked by both teams. Falstad going to go to the middle, finish up that wave. And level 16, if he grabs that, look for him to fly up immediately and see if they can force a fight as Dahaka. There comes Falstad on the backside, Jake.
Still 25 seconds for those heroics, but they are looking for the fight. Big mosh pit, but the gust stops it. June in the bad spot. The drag pulls him in. And June with the ice block staying alive for just a moment. He'll die in just a moment. Here, the regrowth not enough, but they're looking to trade. 7-side strike, just staying alive, using that to juke any skill shots thrown his way. But Tempo Storm, without their support, need to run for their lives.
Oh, the wave of force knocked him back, but we see Iron Skin use there. They are still in pursuit. The dashboard. Bud's trying to dashboard to get the kills, but on the other side, Johanna was going to fall. Can there be more? The Arcane Orb just missing. They're going to push in. Two-person advantage. Take a keep. Get more value.
I really appreciate Psalm's efforts. VP was like a second away before that kill came in, and he was going to look for it. This keep's going to go down, and then they can safely rotate up, grab that temple, get more DPS in. But Coffin, Psalm, Cattle, they're all stepping forward to try to take this out. Ooh. But that Yoda poke is so strong.
Oh, Glaurung just missing that tongue there. He did go elongated tongue at 16. That's why we saw such huge range before. They almost got another pick. They got that other pick. They could have had a stranglehold on this. But one keep down in favor of Team 8.
Johanna's still not up. All those heroics will be available again, but I gotta be a little bit critical on the side of Tempo Storm. Their two most important heroics when it comes to VP and Twilight Dream were not ready for another 25 seconds when they initiated on that point. Yes, they need to fight, but they don't need to fight in such a desperate state like that over the Shrine.
Talk about not willing to risk anything. Team 8, this is one of those moments where you have such a huge lead structurally, you have a keep down, that you can start to play to your advantages, mainly Dahaka. Opting to go with that global, it's going to allow you to force rotations, continue to put pressure on. Again, the structures are your lifeline, and right now you just got to play the map.
Man, 1 for just barely staying alive here, keeping some kind of reference point to retreat to for Team 8 in the center of the map. Tempo, keeping the experience close. That's the most important thing for them right now. We see the drag being used there, cleanse onto Cattle to get Greymane away from this. Adaptation was also spent there on Dahaka to make sure he does not go down, and the Odin just now coming off cooldown, so that's 1 for 1 in that regard, getting one ultimate back ready.
Ooh, Justine taking a lot of damage, and he has to power slide out. You know, you get to these moments in the fight, and Tempo Storm obviously pressing the issue just a little bit. It's actually could potentially come to the fact of you might actually force a boss fight because you know that eventually you're going to have to make something big happen. We'll see where Tempo Storm has their priorities in terms of what they're willing to risk. Again, it's a 1-1 series, best of 5 though.
It's tense. I mean, this game is far from over. They have the global of Falstad. We'll see Epic Flight in level 20, and that'll help alleviate some of the pressure that the Catapults will continue to put on left and right. I like this with Psalm here, scouting this out. This is going to take a long time for Prismat to do, and actually no one has scouted they have moved in here, but they will show themselves on that mid fort, removing it, and no skill on the camp.
Yeah, they're not willing to risk going in just that far.
Yeah.
Next Temple phase will be here soon. Remember, that is the Catapult lane that will be forced to be responded to. So we'll see how this goes as the next 2 will be coming up soon.
I guess the small benefit here is there's a monster wave of experience right next to that bruiser camp that they're working on the top left corner. That experience will help even the odds for them. Double temples up means they can burn through towers fairly quickly, but even trading temples at this point in time for Tempo Storm is a risky call considering they have already lost keep.
Well, we'll see what Tempo opts to do as we see everybody from teammate posturing on the middle temple. Dahaka has joined the fight. He gets the tongue instantly, but nice cleanse on the Psalm. 7-sided strike. No follow-up. Great cleanse by June.
Yeah, Glaurung was like literally trying to end the game right there. That kill could have been it, but June keeps the dream alive here for Tempo Storm. Odin in the back has been activated, and they are sieging up, taking control of the shrine.
Yeah, Justin going in a little bit. He's got to be careful. BB on the backside. Justin has been isolated. Twilight Dream has been used as well. Dahaka being threatened on the backside. Able to stay alive as he is healed up with that adaptation. Still a 4v5. We're going to see teammate, will they try and retreat? But soft flank the backside, Jake.
He's flanking the back, goes in on butts. Greymane flying in forward, but the Radiant dash away is good. We did see Gus completely whiffed in that fight, so not able to use that to try to keep the fight going with an offensive fly. You'll see the rotate onto the back to push this lane back, but level 20 with this situation should be in favor of Tempo Storm at this point in time.
They'll be able to see Falstad flew back. He used Flight, he didn't hurt back, which means they might re-engage. Fury taking a bit of damage, but so is Glaurung on the side. We now have ourselves a 4v4 until Falstad makes his way back. So good observation there by teammate to try and get back and take some of those shots.
It's a big deal for them here, going to keep things even, grab those last few shots in their favor. Zeratul going to push out this one wave to try to remove Vision more than anything. The experience is great for 20, but he wants to deny Vision and force them to stay back for a little bit so he can get a few safe shots here in the bottom lane. Not even going to risk that, it looks like. Okay, just checking.
There's actually a reason, a minor reason, obviously it's going to be cleared up, but if you push that, if you expedite that, you clear that up, you send experience over to your opponent, which is an easy soak. You see that you're closer to 20 than they are, so you give yourself those few seconds. As you can see, they're dropping back, getting some of those shots, strategically good, but here we are. Who's on the each side of the bush, Jake?
Yeah, they're just kind of lingering, waiting. Everyone knows this is the place to be. The Gust onto one. They're looking at Tychus here. The blow-up, not quite enough, though. Zeratul diving on in. Half health is Prismaticism, but he's on the retreat. Moshpit just keeping Johanna locked in place, but the DPS from Tychus, it's so much. Fury in a terrible spot here. Does have that indestructible at his level 20 to stay alive, but they end up losing Zeratul and Malfurion before that even matters.
Well, 2 members are down. Let's see. It looks like they're posturing up onto the boss instantly. This could be game if they do manage to push this. That temple as well. This is an opportunity that if you grab this, you can also get a few temple shots, soften up that bottom lane, and then go for the kill push here. They are a little bit low. They got to be careful. Gust is not available, but this is an easy capture for teammate. And now we are looking at a game potential. Boss pushing bottom lane.
Jay, we've got 35 seconds before Malfurion and Zeratul come up. Look at their heroics. Neither of them were even able to be used in that last fight just because of the decisive blow-up that we saw there from teammate. With Johanna locked out from that mosh pit, there's just nothing to stop the aggression coming out from teammate, and they're looking to close it out here in game number 3.
The way that Dahaka postured up, they didn't go for it instantly, so you've got to look for bushes for Dahaka to be able to brush Stalker up too. They might just go for the keep. Falstad does have Mighty Gust available. It is your best tool to defend. You're going to get more. They already used it. This boss, this keep is gone. That Temple will be able to take down that mid keep, and you also have the top wave threatening as well.
Yeah, they are going to lose all 3 keeps at this rate. The last few shots will poke it down very low and very safe siege from Yoda. Should be more than enough to confirm the last and final structure outside of the core here on the side of teammate. You know what? I respect the fact that they're playing passively enough to not even take this out so much, because if they were to lose, 2 or 3 heroes here, they could lose the game still.
Yeah, again, they've been playing this way for about the last 10 minutes. They took structure advantage early, and they are playing this. So if you're wondering, why aren't you taking every team fight? It's because you don't have to.
Exactly.
The Temples will win you this game, and right now, it's up to Tempo Storm. It is on them to force a fight. We'll see if the next Temple phase is a double Temple. It could be checkmate, especially with the globals. We'll see how this plays out.
Giving you guys a bit of a numbers update. Greymane, 60k damage, 18k on the Zeratul, just showing the disparity for that big carry for the Greymane damage. I mean, he just slugs and slugs and slugs through the health bars. 41,000 on Tychus for the opposing side there of teammate.
Man, it's a good position to be in, but it's a tense position to be in when you're a teammate. You look for a pick, see if anybody tries to scout it out. Saw him, he's lurking. He's going to try and just lurk and lurk and lurk. Let's see if somebody passes through here. Nice shield glare. Fury, he's like, hey, I've played this game before. You're not going to fool me.
J-How, I think Tall Rosh's element, Li Ming, with Yoda playing it, is just
Fitting?
the scariest thing ever.
I thought it was very fitting.
Because he's like the best Diablo player in the world, you said?
Actually, yes.
That's insane. And by Diablo, we mean the video game Diablo. He plays the wizard, and he's really good, apparently. But here we go. This Temple phase is do or die for Tempo Storm.
Oh, they're going to have to fight. There's no escaping this moment right here. You have to fight whether you want to or not. Even if you win a fight, teammate can retreat with 3 members and still survive. If they lose more than 3 members and say there's only 2 standing, it could be checkmate. But let's see what Tempo Storm does as they lead out here. And already the Twilight Dream is out. And no follow-up there as Justin just walks away.
Cursed Bullet, Twilight Dream, Blessed Shield have all been used. Dahaka is split soaking this, forcing Cawthon to fly up here on his own. Taking heavy damage, he's going to be cleaved here. Oh, barely getting out of the way of that defender.
All right, Yoda coming into the backside. Cawthon forced to use Mighty Gust, but he did get clipped there by the corner. Bud's looking to dash. He puts down the ally, and now Falstad in a bad spot, and down goes Falstad. And now the core starting to take damage. This looks like game number 3.
Cattle staying alive, just barely on the retreat. Another heal coming up from June, 150 HP and rising for him. But Justin is low. Those missiles, one hit, but not all of them. Fury super low, but 42% left on the core. It's looking like teammate has this game in the bag.
Boy, I tell you what, the shot calling from Glaurung this game was superb as they dominated. The minute they took structure control, they made every right call with a few shaky moments at times, but brilliantly played by Team 8, who goes up 2-1 in this series.
I mean, I gotta agree with you. It's all about Glaurung's shot calling in that game. We saw him playing his Dahaka for the first time in a really long time in the series, something he's amazing with, and he was able to make those rotations. He's able to go in for the engage, force out a lot of skill shots, and just get a lot of value in that regard. And behind that, the comfort picks with Yoda on the Li Ming, just shredding. I mean, that last fight, where Zeratul and Malfurion in the bottom lane did not even have the chance to cast VP or Twilight, they just got dumpstered.
I tell you what, Prismat used to be the guy that camera would follow. You'd be like, man, is he okay? But boy, does he look comfortable right now. Look at him, all smiles as they're up 2-1. They are looking to make it into the final day if they can close out Tempo Storm. But Tempo Storm, they've got to come back, man. They have every bit of the potential to turn this series around.
They really do, but I cannot wait to hear what the experts think on the desk of that game number 3.
Sky Temple between Tempo Storm and Team 8, a close game until a level 16 fight blew it wide open when Team 8 were able to take a keep. Kaldor, at that point, did you see anything that Tempo Storm could have done to bring that game back still?
Very little, especially after then later on the map was open with the first keys taken there. You have to take the fight, you have to somehow win it, and Cawthon, when he flew top, for example, just at the end when we had the 2 temples active, there was very little that he could do. He flew maybe a little bit too deep and immediately received a lot of damage from the Haka, and from that point on it's just like try to somehow get out until the rest of the team is there. But I feel at that point it was already over unless Team 8 just says straight up, hey, we don't want to win this game, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, Temple Storm seems to be out of their element, if you will, right now. There's a couple moments where we had Blessed Shield and Mighty Gust kind of overlap each other. In fact, Kaldor put it out once to me.
The ETC
and then I saw it. Yeah, I saw it again, too. There was a couple of elements where you need to have patience and understanding and trust within each other, and Temple Storm normally has that. Right now, they just seem to be a bit off. And then the crisis management on their side for Team 8 has been superb. There was moments for the late game where Falstad flew in to jump on top of Tychus. There was no panic. The immediate drop on top of the Odin and then the Karazim jumping in to save him was pretty darn flawless. And at that point, you're like, wait, we're going for all-in plays and they're not working. You just fall apart.
Yeah, Grubby, for me, it seems like the pressure coming in after this long day of heroes, all of these teams here playing their hearts out, is refining Team 8 in some ways, being able to come together. It's not perfect, but they're really coming into their own, whereas Tempo Storm is maybe struggling with it. Do you think it's because they're the expected team that should be coming ahead here?
I mean, I think you're right there, Gilly. Tempo Storm thought that, they're still the best team in North America, despite everything, despite what some people might think. But here we have a pretty young and fresh team in Team 8. I think Glaurung and his team has really matured here in recent times.
Well, Team 8 now are 1 game away from eliminating Tempo Storm. Not the expected outcome, but as we've seen in this series, the last time these two faced off, it went all the way to Game 5. We'll see if that will be the case once again as we head into this break. We'll see you after.